All right, a few more things we need to discuss here on Morning Live. Now, from Saturday, the 1st of June, the new carbon tax law to cut greenhouse gas emissions will come into effect. President Cyril Ramaphosa has recently signed this long-delayed law in a bid to reduce carbon emissions on the continent. Now, carbon tax is a fee that government will impose on companies who burn fossil fuels. And joining us now is Ryan Hawthorne, who's an economist from Acacia Economics, to shed more light on what this carbon tax actually entails. Thanks for coming through.
That's a pleasure.
So let's start there. What does this mean for ordinary people like you and I?
For you and I, the main change right now is going to be an increase in fuel prices, unfortunately. So the price of petrol will be 9 cents a litre more expensive, and the price of diesel will go up by 10 cents per litre. Practically, actually, next month, it very much depends. It's not actually clear that prices will go up. In fact, prices will likely go down next month. But yes, overall, consumers will pay a little bit more for fuel.
So, and as you say, it's going to send up the price of fuel, but we also have other issues with fossil fuels. We know we've got our power stations and they emit quite a bit. And then you have Eskom that's already in quite a spot of bother. And how's this going to affect them?
Actually, Eskom won't have to pay any more for the next few years, at least for the next 3.5 years. So it doesn't affect Eskom or electricity prices at all, at least for now.
So that's interesting, because one would have thought that there would be that knock-on effect. But why is it that they won't be affected?
Well, I think it is because of the fact that electricity prices are already quite high, and the Treasury's worked quite hard to mitigate any price increases that consumers will feel, including in respect of electricity prices. Remember that Eskom already pays an environmental levy of 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and so they're already partly paying for carbon to some degree.
So if we take the pain out of it, try and put aside the emotion of the fuel price increasing, what are some of the advantages that, you could share with our viewers of having this particular law?
Well, the main problem across the world is that temperatures are rising. So global temperatures are rising to by about 4 degrees since pre-industrial times. And that's enormous when you think that, for example, today it'll reach about 20-odd degrees in Johannesburg. 4 degrees is a massive increase. And the impact of that is enormous. And we're already feeling it as a developing country. In fact, developing countries feel the effects of greenhouse gas emissions, of climate change much more than developed countries. So in fact, we should be contributing arguably even more than developed countries do when it comes to climate change.
So let's put the emotion back into it. As far as poor people, consumers are concerned, they may think this is rather regressive and it's just adding on the burden that they're already suffering under. How do you convince them that this is something that's absolutely necessary?
So the easiest way to convince people is the dramatic weather events that we've been seeing over the last few years. So, for example, the drought that's been experienced in Cape Town, a 4-year-long drought, very unusual. These enormous storms that we've seen off the coast of Mozambique. These are significant weather events that are costing lives. Personally, I'm an asthmatic, and so I'm looking forward to much better air quality. And in fact, and air quality, again, disproportionately affects poor consumers because they don't have access to healthcare.
And of course, the cost of it all. And many people are worried about, how we're going to quantify this. How would government go about doing that?
Well, the government has done a little bit of work to try and work out what all of this will cost. But in fact, what they've proposed is re-examining the carbon tax after 3 years to see exactly sort of what impact it will have. So in fact, for example, there are enormous exemptions and rebates allowed at the moment. So really what industry might pay for now may well be relatively limited, but the truth is that we don't actually know what it will cost industry, and the entire intervention has not been fully costed.
Right, and I think we'll talk more about this. As you said, it's something that will be reviewed as well, but also as the impact of it hits us, I guess, more overtly, we'll talk more about what it actually means. But thank you so much to Ryan Hawthorne, who's an economist from Acacia Economics, talking to us about what carbon tax is and, of course, the implications thereof. And it's over to Leanne now.